Welcome to the Mystic Access Podcast, where the magic is in learning.
Hello, everybody. This is Chris,
This is Kim.
and we're going to do our VoIP services part 2,
Sequel!
or continued, or whatever you want to call it. But 2 VoIP services that I wanted to talk about. One should be used for business purposes because it has the features of a business. It's called phone.com. That's phone.com. The user interface is very accessible. You can add extensions, add your own greetings, manage users, manage and build your own menu. In the menu structure, you tell it what you want number 1 to do. Do you want it to call your extension? Do you want it to go to another menu? Do you want it to go to a queue? Do you want it to receive a fax? Anything you want to do, you can do, and it's totally accessible. The only weird issue I found with the website is when you log in, there's a configure mouse over. It doesn't tell you that it's a mouse over, but you have to use your virtual mouse capability to route your mouse to that item on the screen, and then several options will appear, like add a phone number, manage phone numbers, manage users, all that kind of stuff. Do you have any questions on phone.com or comments?
Well, basically, one of the things that's neat about it is you can utilize a system like phone.com to make your little bitty company or your 1 or 2 person business or whatever you have sound like a corporate entity if you play it right, which is very cool because it makes you sound bigger than you are. It gives a very professional image to your business or your company and really allows your offerings to stand out in a possibly crowded marketplace, depending on what you're doing. So it's very cool in that respect. I like the fact that you've talked about how much accessibility there is in creating all these things with your extensions. And for the price, particularly given the accessibility, it's a pretty hot property, if you ask me, just given what you're able to do without any sort of sighted assistance whatsoever.
It's a little confusing, the pricing, because what you do is you pay $9 a month for 100 minutes that you can use across any one or more of what are called virtual extensions. You can take that virtual extension if you make calls on it, or calls from it, or calls to it. The time is deducted from your 100 minutes. But if you need more than 100 minutes, or more than, say, $16, you can add a unlimited extension. So any calls coming to or from that extension don't count against your 100 minutes. So if you're going to use multiple extensions, and you wanted multiple unlimited extensions, then of course you would pay, I think it's $23 per extension unlimited.
And you're also going to be paying that $9 for essentially the 100 minutes and all those bells and whistles that you get to build your menus and phone structure with, as it were. That you're paying for regardless, whether you just use that or you get unlimited extensions on top of it.
Correct. So just to give a brief example of something that we've created with this phone.com is the menu system. And you create the menu, but what they suggest is you record the audio prompts first so that you know what you want the menu to do.
And before you do that, one of the advantages is that when you record your stuff first, you can upload nice, high-quality files, which is what you're about to hear. This isn't someone's answering machine that you're listening to, which is what I was speaking about earlier with really making your company seem very high profile. It's pretty cool.
Thank you for calling Mystic Access, where the magic is in learning. We hope you are having a wonderful weekend. Our regular business hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you know your party's extension, you may enter it at any time. For inquiries regarding our comprehensive assistive technology training and tutorial, please press 1. To reach the Mystic Access podcast comment line, please press 2. For general information, please press 3. For our employee directory, please press 9.
And any of those menu items goes somewhere. And one thing that you may have noticed is it says the weekend hours. So you can actually have your greetings change depending on the time of the day, whether it's a weekday, whether it's a weekend, whether it is after 5 p.m., you're closed, you're open, you're out to lunch. Anything you want, you can do. And it's completely accessible. They also have professional voicemail transcriptions. So what they'll do is there's, I believe, an automated one, which will automate text of your voicemail will be in the email message. The other option, a human will actually listen to your voicemail and transcribe it for you. And I believe that is 75 cents per voicemail. So they have a lot of fancy features for your business. The other VoIP service that I wanted to talk about really quickly is a residential service. They have a business service as well. It's called VOIPO, VOIPO.com. That also is another accessible, usable interface. It has a lot of neat features. You can have incoming caller ID where you can change the name of the incoming caller ID, kind of like ViaTalk and the other podcast we did, where you can assign, say, wireless caller comes up, and that doesn't do you a lot of good when your phone announces wireless caller. So you can go into VoIPO and say, okay, when this number rings, announce this name instead. One kind of neat thing that it will do is when you're filling out that info, it says, what's the phone type? So you could say home, work, cellular, whatever. It's an edit box. You put whatever you want. And when the phone rings, it'll speak the name, and then it'll also speak the phone type, which is really cool.
There's also a lot you can do with custom speed dials with this particular service. I know that's a feature you like.
Yes, you can, instead of having 10 speed dials, you can have basically unlimited speed dials. Like you could assign 95 to somebody's 10-digit phone number, and when you pick up the phone and dial 95, it does a speed dial. So you can have virtually unlimited speed dials. You just have to remember where they're assigned.
Who they belong to.
Exactly. Again, the interface is completely accessible. It is very usable. It has a lot of bells and whistles, and you can send texts through it. You can receive texts through it. It's just another option for people to check out. It's a service that I have played with and personally have tested, so I know that it works. You can have 9 different voicemail greetings and switch between them. Not automatically, but you can switch between them. You can call block. It has a bunch of star codes and things like that.
Can't you fax with it too?
Actually, yes, you can. You can send an email with an email attachment to a specific number, and you can also receive faxes, and they send them to your email. I have not tested that yet, but they do have the capability, and it's no extra charge. I'm sure there's a limit to the number of faxes that you can send or receive per month, but when you go in there and you want to play with the faxing options, it doesn't mention anything about costing extra.
And as with ViaTalk, which we discussed on our previous VoIP Services podcast, I believe VoIPO also has one of those world plans, which can be very cool if you're making some international calls. I know I make international calls relatively frequently, so something like that may be of interest. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you also get with VoIPO 60 minutes of international calling to select countries.
Yes, you
and
do.
Members.
Yes, with your monthly service, you do. When I purchased VoIPO to play with, The cost was either $149 for 2 years of service. It was about $180 with taxes and fees, or you could go month by month, and that was about $18. I don't know if they still have that deal for $149 for 2 years, but that was a deal that I really couldn't pass up.
For sure.
So I hope you have enjoyed this podcast of VoIP services that we have personally tried and we find to be accessible and usable. Bye.
Bye.
The preceding podcast is a presentation of Mystic Access, where the magic is in learning. To contact us, please visit www.mysticaccess.com. Call us 716-543-3323 and press 2 to reach our Mystic Access podcast comment line. Email us at show@mysticaccesspodcast.com and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/mysticaccess. Would you like to spread the word about our podcasts? Please tell your friends and colleagues to visit us at www.mysticaccesspodcast.com. If you enjoy what you hear on our podcasts, feel free to leave us an iTunes rating and review. We certainly appreciate those. Also, you may feel free to use our podcasts in your own RSS feed. Just be sure that all of our contact information is left intact. Thanks for spreading the word, and thanks for listening. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode.